Disaster strikes this American city, and as fellow citizens, as human beings, you can look at that, and a lot of people responded like how can I give? Like, how can I give to that?
This was 2007, Thanksgiving of 2007. I don't think any of us knew what to expect when we came into New Orleans. We heard a lot about Hurricane Katrina, but it was all surreal and on TV. And the first place we showed up was Camp Katrina. Miss Pearl
was just welcoming people there. Just like, if you don't have a spot to go, like, you come here, and they tried to build a little community there. I thought that was really cool.
Just sharing the stories of life and the celebration of Thanksgiving, what they're thankful for, being there that day.
And it was a wacky place. What, street musicians? Remember that dude Washbourne Shad that you were playing music with?
Trying to cope and make sense of the situation 2 years later when there was so little done to rebuild.
I arrived like a year later. I had heard about what happened, and there was an interest in it, and the opportunity to go there had came up, so I decided to go. But what I was disappointed in was to see that it was just the same old nonsense, you know?
That's the levee that broke and released the floodwaters through this area here.
In terms of dealing with the levees, but not even just the levees, just the houses, what was diminishing about the city had basically been replaced with the same diminishing nonsense. The levee was just like a bulletproof vest that was made of tinfoil, and they just gave them another bulletproof vest made of tinfoil.
Can we just walk around and just talk about some of the things that we see, and then we'll be cool. This little structure that's sort of dilapidated over there was the Common Ground Temple before, and there were just little Buddhas and incense and just little sacred objects that were put in there.
It wasn't just flooded, it was flooded with toxic flood water. I started this after Katrina, and we have had over 20,000 volunteers. We have raised a little over $3 million, and we have served over 180,000 people in direct services. Right here, we lost about 1,200 people. Now, it had a population of something like about 14,000. All right, roughly between 12 to 14,000 during pre-Katrina. It was 3,000 homes here.
Oh, 3,000 homes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So you could say about 4 to 6 in the house.
4 to 6 in the house. Oh.
But during Katrina, in this area alone, we lost over 1,000 people.
So check this out. All of these red houses are the ones that are gone. And it's only the black houses that survived.
Because they know that the lies that the city is telling, I'm going to expose them. I'm going to expose them for just what they are. Because they didn't do nothing. People were stuck on this bridge for 3 days. That's without nothing. They had to swim back in here to get supplies in order to survive. When they got them off of this bridge, they sent them to the convention center. And at the convention center, they supplied nothing. People had to go a week before they started giving them anything.
So after Katrina, Mac had the opportunity to buy that piece of real estate where he wanted to build his antique car shop. But, you know, he felt a stronger sense of community and the need to provide for the people who are trying to rebuild the Lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans. And so he turned what would have been his antique car shop into the Lower Ninth Ward Village, which is becoming an art studio. New Orleans is known for its art, and Mac's really just trying to bring it back to the Lower Ninth Ward and rebuild the community. It's not just the traditional art studio, it's also a music recording center. It's also a culinary arts center where they're going to have a kitchen, and people are going to learn to be chefs, cooks, managers in the food industry. Listening to him, you know, it made me want to go back and volunteer.
This here is going to be a community center, and before Katrina it was a church. So I bought it after Katrina.
I've been trying to get it like 4.5 years though, before Katrina, you know, for antique cars. So this has been an experience trying to make it a community space. And the support has been volunteers. What I'm doing is making the whole place a gallery for the Prospect One, because Prospect One is the Super Bowl of art. I mean, you're not gonna get it any better than this. So I'm trying to give an opportunity to the local artists to be a part of that, you know. So opposed to just showing the Prospect One pieces, I'm showing local art too. To clear up a myth that this was poor, poverty-stricken area. But the thing about it, they had more homeowners in the Lower Ninth Ward than anywhere in Louisiana, and in the top in the country for home ownership. You know, so it wasn't a poor, poverty-stricken area. But more than that, we had 8,000 outright homeowners. First, we could get it flooded here. Well, why would it take over 3 years for us to come back? Unless it was purposely designed for us not to come back.
When this happened, it was like it was a government plot to see how fast social order would be destroyed and how quickly they could destroy.
5,000 missing is not missing after 3 years. They're dead. So when the mayor ordered 10,000 body bags, he's closer to the truth. We have a problem with the schools right now because we had 5 elementary schools over here. We only have 1 now, and it's busting out of the seams. I mean, they saying they're not gonna put another high school or an elementary school. So I got up and said, okay, if that's your take on this, where are you gonna put the next penitentiary? The penitentiary, because that energy is gonna go right or left. And if you're not trying to put it right, it's gonna go left.
None of the brothers who did all the rescues up in here got a job. With a construction boom, listen, they got $6 billion worth of construction work going on in New Orleans right now. $6 billion.
$6 billion.
And unemployment among young African American men is about 23, 24%.
What we are doing, and it's sad to say this, but we are punishing them for doing the right thing, for living an American dream. And the thing I'm gonna leave you with, how can you give an 82-year-old woman too much? How can you do that? So what's with the red tape and helping them get home? You can just get them home. Yeah, have a blessed one.
We're driving by one of the neighborhoods near the Lower Ninth Ward, and we saw these kids playing basketball. So for me, I used to play b-ball growing up, and just to see that life was still going on and they were still continuing with what they were doing and still being happy and still rebuilding, and they still had that spirit and still carried on their future dreams and future aspirations was a good thing.
I thought that was, I don't know, maybe a symbol of progress, if anything.
Yeah, I actually felt that way.
As we were walking the Lower Ninth Ward, we came upon the Common Ground Community Garden, and there was a piece of art that Marisol and Herman noticed. It was lettering in a circle that said "Happily Ever After," but plants were intended to grow around these letters. But just like the people in the community there, their aspirations to grow, but it needs the support. As a nation, it was really a test for us as Americans. How do we react when tragedy befalls a community? Do we help the community rebuild? 3 years later, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I just hope that we as Americans help people like Mac. Help him rebuild his community and provide some opportunity for the people who live there, because it's a beautiful culture in New Orleans of art and community, and it's something that if we value it, it should be protected and preserved.